Whoa, turtles, man. 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 Whoa.
Yo, it's your boy, the tater, Meister, 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 it's your boy, the tater, Meister. I'm back. Guess who's back? The Tater Meister's back. So, today, we are reviewing Eternals. Yes. At last. So, Eternals is the... What movie is this now? Eternals is the 26th MCU movie, I'm pretty sure. Can't believe there's been 26 movies already. Whoa! Anyway, so, 26 MCU movie. So, directed by Chloe Zhao and produced by Chloe Zhao. Written by, it's produced by Kevin Feige, duh, and Nate Moore. Written by Chloe Zhao, Ryan Firpo, Case Firpo. Directed by Chloe Zhao. So, Chloe Zhao is known for No Man Land. She won for that movie, Best Picture. Wow, what a big deal. Awesome. Anyway, so, everybody was hyped for this movie for this reason. Now, a little fun fact for this. This was my least hype of the MCU movies. I just want to get that off the bat. This was kind of a movie I wasn't looking forward to for multiple reasons. One is the trailers didn't really do it for me. I didn't know how they were going to pull it off with all the new characters and new concepts and how they were going to make the lore fit. I didn't know how it was going to make sense. I didn't know what the story was about. So there just wasn't much to be hype about for the movie itself. But surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised. Now, when this movie came out, there's been a lot of, let's just say, not so good reviews about this movie. In fact, the city, I think, let me check real quick. Yeah, a little fun fact about Eternals. This is the first MCU movie to get a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. Currently sitting at 48%, bro. 48%! That is lower than Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 3. I mean, that is nuts to me, bro. Like, how in the fuck, like, bro? This is the first time in the history of the MCU where it got a rotten score. Like, lower than 60%. That is fucking crazy. Now, if you go into this movie expect to be as bad as some of the worst MCU movies, it really fucking ain't. I don't know what the fuck the critics were smoking. Maybe they just didn't like the LGBT elements. Maybe they just didn't like the story. Maybe they just didn't like the scale of it. I don't really know. But in my personal opinion, I really enjoyed this movie for the most part. I'm going to get to the negatives later because there is some problems. But for the most part, this movie is really, really well done. Like, in my opinion. I know my opinion's not always true because you saw I like Bloodshot, but... in my personal opinion, I think the movie was really well handled. So, let me just go through all the characters. We got Eric Keyes, who's like the leader. It's not really leader, like he's the guy with the laser eyes you saw in all the trailers. He's a really cool character. I won't spoil anything about the plot. This plot has a lot going on in it, so I won't spoil anything about any of the twists, any of the characters that show up. But, yeah, Eric Keyes is a really good character. He was very compelling. I really liked him a lot, and he's played by a good actor. We got Ajak, who's the old leader of it, who used to be the leader of the Eternals for the most part. I forget the Celestial they're serving. So the Eternals on Earth are serving the Celestial known as Orisham, and their job on Earth is to protect the Earth from these monsters called the Deviants. So that's basically the whole premise of the movie. Without spoiling anything, that is the premise of this film. They're serving a Celestial. Celestials are like basically giant deities, like gods that live among the universe, and they create galaxies. So that's what the plot is. They're Eternals. They're basically angels serving the gods, the Celestials. So, well, I wouldn't really call these characters angels, but you know what I mean. I'm making a comparison there. So Cersei is a very great character. Cersei is like the main female lead of this movie. She's really well done. I found her really, like, her role. I mean, I know some people might complain about the characters, but I think for a 2.5 hour movie, for the most part, they fit a lot in, and they fleshed out the characters really good. We got Icarus. Oh, I already said Icarus. We got Kingo. Kingo doesn't have as much screen time as the rest, but he's still really cool and funny. I liked his character. Of course, we got Sprite. Sprite is the little kid you kept seeing, who has the magic powers. She's really cool. She can make illusions similar to Loki, and I really liked what they did with her. I think she was probably the most compelling character in this movie. I'll be honest. But then we got Bakari. She has the power of super speed. That speedster you saw in the trailers. Really cool character. What's weird about her is, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but No, I don't think so. She doesn't speak in the movie. She uses sign language. I guess because her power limits her speech. I'm not really sure how that works. But it was cool to see her do sign language in it. It was pretty cool. Then we got Druig, who's probably... Okay, between Druig and Sprite, those are like the two best characters in this film. Druig was just a really compelling character. His actor did a great job. Barry Keoghan really did a great job with him. He had really cool power. Like, his power was controlling people's minds. Really cool. Then we got Don Lee's Gilgamesh. The strongest Eternal. He has a connection to Athena, who's played by Angelina Jolie, of course. Athena's an excellent character. I love Athena in this. I hope we get more of her later. Angelina Jolie's fucking hot. Like, for every movie Angelina Jolie, she just kills it. But, of course, I already said Selma Hayek as Ajax. We got Kit Harington from Game of Thrones as Dane Whitman, who becomes Black Knight later. He's not in this movie too much. The movie's more focused on the Eternals, which, I mean, the movie's called Eternals. No fucking shit. But it is setting up Black Knight, so. Yeah, what did I think about the movie overall? Well, I mean, it was really good. I think the biggest positives I can give Eternals are the visuals, the cinematography, the action sequences, and, of course, the music. Like, I don't know who did the music for this, but, of course, the direction. Of course, Chloe Zhao directed all the scenes. Really fucking well done. I mean, I gotta give her props. She did a very good job directing. But... who did the music on this? Ramin Djawadi? Oh. Okay, so he did Iron Man and Game of Thrones. Okay, that explains why it's so fucking good. Cool. So he came back for this movie. That's neat. Okay. I'm glad they brought him back. That's cool. He's one of the best film scores of all time, and he just scored the shit out of this movie. Where, like, the Eternal score is just beautiful. Utterly beautiful. But, so he scored Iron Man and Game of Thrones. That's pretty cool. Did he score any other MCU movies? Okay, let me check. Yeah. Literally, Iron Man was the only other MCU movie he scored. Wow. It took them that long to bring that dude back? Like, bro. Like, come on, he scored Iron Man! Okay, whatever, that's fine. I'm glad they brought him back, because he was one of the best parts. The score is one of the best parts of this fucking movie. Let me tell you, and the visuals, and I really like the characters and story, too. Now, this is where I get into the negatives, because this movie is not by far the best MCU movie. If people are fucking saying that, that's stupid. It's a very enjoyable movie, and I like what they did, and it did a lot of great, unique things. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is the most unique MCU movie, but I wouldn't really say this is the best one, and I'm going to get into why, so here are the negatives for the movie. I don't really have a lot. I mean, it's just small gripes. That keep it from being higher. Like, I wouldn't say this is better than Black Widow or Shang-Chi, just for the fact that those movies had more rewatch value. I think Eternals is good for a first-time watch. It added a lot of lore. But I'm not sure. Maybe on rewatches I'll enjoy it more. But my main problems are just that the story structure was really weird. Like, it just... There was this character, I won't spoil, like this villain antagonist character that was a deviant. And he kind of just doesn't do a lot in this movie. Like, he's there, but he's not really there. Like, he's not really part of the story. Like, he's just kind of there to cause trouble. That's it. And I won't spoil who the other... The interesting thing about Eternals is there isn't really a main villain in this movie. Like, it's kind of like everybody's kind of a villain in this movie. Which I thought was really cool, but at the same time, it's what made... I guess it's going to throw some MCU fans off. It's like, where the fuck is no villain in this? Well, I think that's kind of the point, but, like, it does kind of detract that there's more things they could have done with the deviant villain that they didn't do. Bill Skarsgård voices a deviant villain. I always forget his fucking name. Deviant Crow, that's his name. That's the Bill Skarsgård's voicing him. I think he did a good job playing that character, but it just kind of... He didn't have a lot of... Like I said, he didn't have a lot of time. Also, like, when the character deaths... Okay, character deaths were really great in this movie. I'll say that. It felt really emotional and when they died. But I won't spoil who dies. But, I don't know. There's a lot of, like... For a 2.5... Like, 2.5... What was it? 2 hours, 40 minutes? It's the second longest MCU movie. It's only Endgame's longer than it. For the most part, they're able to fit a lot in. They're able to flesh out a lot of things. But even with all the fleshing out, even as long as the movie is, it still could have been longer. Like, it still could have had a longer runtime. That's just crazy for me to say because how long the movie is. But it really could have been as long as Endgame. Like, that's the thing. There's just so much in this movie. Like, there's so much going on. And it was just hard to fit everything in this span of time because of how large scale the movie is. It had Celestials. It had Eternals. It had, Universal things. It had, tons of new characters. It had tons of new concepts. So it was just hard to fit it all in this compact, runtime. It was just really hard to do that just for the fact that there's all these concepts you're putting into one movie. For the most part, I think Chloe Zhao did a good job handling it, but it does come across as a mess at some points, like as far as story structure and writing goes. Writing of dialogue, writing of the story was good. It's just putting it all together was just the problem. Like I feel like it was a jumbled up production mess in a sense, because there was so many ideas they had for it, but it was just hard to execute every idea. I think that's just my summary of my criticisms. I mean, like I said, I like most of it. There's just some characters that you could have fleshed out better. Like, I think the characters that were fleshed out the best were Sprite, Icarus, and Druid. I think those three were the best. But some of them were just not fleshed out well enough. Like, they were fleshed out good, but they weren't. Like, for example, I feel like Cersei could have had more development. I feel like characters like, Thea could have had more development. I feel like Thea's boyfriend, Gilgamesh, could have had more development. You know what I mean? I don't know. And also, like, there's just certain elements. Like, okay, like I said, the biggest positives are the visuals, the music, and the action sequences. Without a doubt, some of the best the MCU has ever given. But everything else, I just feel like it's just kind of lacking, I guess. Like, I don't know. There's just certain story elements that could have been improved upon. That's all I'm saying. Overall, still a very enjoyable time. If you're an MCU fan, or if you're a casual moviegoer, I think this movie has something for everybody. This movie has very much substance. I don't know what the fuck the critics were smoking. Honestly, this movie is not as bad as the critics were fucking saying. I don't know what the hell they're on, but considering, I mean, they fucking, I mean, bro. Again, Dune is a movie that everybody seemed to love, but Eternals, I guess it's not exactly good. I don't know. Doesn't really make any sense, but I think this movie was way better than Dune, in my opinion. In fact, I would argue it's like top 20 MCU. Like I said, it's not as good as Shang-Chi and Black Widow, because those movies had more substance and more emotion and more better writing and story. But for the most part, Chloe Zhao did execute and do this movie justice. I feel she did a very good job considering the source material and considering everything she was covering. So I really hope they bring Chloe Zhao back. She's a very good director, and I hope they bring her back. So overall, I'm going to give this movie an 8.1 out of 10. 8.1 out of 10. It's a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. Very great movie. Would I watch it again? Probably not for a while, though. I mean, it's not like I'm obsessed over this movie. I'm not saying it's the best of the year, but I think it was a lot better than I was expecting, for sure. Like, considering this was my least hyped of the MCU movies, I think it exceeded my expectations in that regard. It did a great job. It had a very good visuals, and I won't spoil it, but there's one scene that actually did make me tear up a bit. There's one scene towards the end that was really well done. Like, this one scene kind of redeemed the movie for me. It was so visually and musically and emotionally powerful. It was just really well done, that one scene. But like I said, as a whole, it does have problems. Obviously, a lot of modern MCU movies have problems. But I think overall they did a good job. Chloe and the team did a good job. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what the next one is. I mean, you already know what the next one is. Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh boy, Spider-Man No Way Home. That's gonna be something, ain't it? Oh man, I'm pretty excited for that one. Automatically, that movie's going to be better than Eternals by default, so in fact, it's going to be better than all three previous ones instantly. I mean, just on the context alone. But I'm still pretty excited to see what happens. But yeah, so that's my review on Eternals, guys. I very much enjoyed it. I definitely recommend you go see it. It is a different movie for sure. Now, that might turn you off, but I mean, some people might find it boring, which, like my friend Mark. I don't know why he found it boring, but okay. Anyway, so that's all I really got to say. So the Tainmeister is signing out.